Hi there, welcome. This is Donna, and I'm here to share a fun shaker card with you featuring the newly released Gnome Witch red rubber stamp. There is a product reveal video for this stamp, and I will link to that in the card above. I'm also going to bring in the Slimline Wobbly Window Die to complete my card. And I'm also going to bring in the new 6x6 vampire paper pack. Now, I only have a partial paper pack, but I'll go ahead and share the designs that I have in my pad. Now, these are double-sided printed paper pack, and they have this kind of slick finish to them. They're not matte. So for my card, I'm going to use this paper right here, and I'll show you how I cut the background for my slimline so that it doesn't look like it's been pieced together. So we'll jump right into the Copic coloring, and I have to apologize. I think I just forgot to hit the record button to start recording the beginning of coloring this image, but I did stamp out all of the images using Copic friendly ink onto Nina Solar white 80-pound cardstock. And as always, I will have a list of the Copic markers I used over on my blog, which I will link to down below. I did use the same color combination for her cloak as I'm using for her hat, and I've started with BB08 as my shadow marker, and then I came in with B17 to blend that out, followed by B04, and then finally B01 for her highlight. For her dress underneath and that collar that's kind of standing up, I'm just using some neutral gray markers, and I'm just adding a little bit of, I'm adding in some small fold lines just to give the image a little more dimension. I am using my darkest shade to add those in. And then this is a pretty small area, so I'm just using a 3 marker blend to blend that out. And I'll just mention that I do go over my images twice, and this is to intensify the shadows and smooth out the blending, but I don't often show it in my video. And then for her hair, I wanted to keep it kind of that white gray look, so I'm just using a little bit of C7, and I've just added that marker over the artist drawn lines, and then I'm just adding a little bit of squiggly lines with C5, C3, and majority of the hair is C1. And naturally the cat is black, perfectly paired for my green little witch, and I'm just adding some shadows with an N7 marker. And then I'll continually blend that with each lighter shade until I get to the center of the cat's face and the center of the body. And for that, I will just blend out with an N0. I do use my scan and cut to cut these images out, and then I will put them aside to work on my shaker element. So here I'm just going to play with the placement of my images so that I know how to cut my pattern paper, because clearly it's not long enough to go across the entire slimline die. So we do kind of have to be creative in the way we cut that paper and place those images to cover up the seam line where those two would meet. So here I'm just kind of deciding how I want my images, and then I'll go ahead and secure my pattern paper to my die and run that through my die machine. I'm rotating the paper around because I wanted more of that gray, and then again I will secure the die with a piece of tape and run that through my die cut machine one more time. So once I have my two pieces, I can go ahead and kind of line them up, and I just use a little bit of Scotch tape to join them back together. So next I'm going to create the background for my shaker card, and I have a piece of Bristol Smooth cardstock. Now this panel is cut down to 8.5 by 3.5 inches, and that is just slightly larger than my Slimline die. So a little bit of that ink blended panel will peek through behind my die cut. I've started ink blending Twisted Citron across the majority of the panel, and then I'm coming in with some mowed lawn kind of at the edges. I'm not really going all the way to the edge of the panel, and I'm definitely not going into the center. I want this light green to kind of radiate out into the darker. And then finally I come in with a little bit of black soot just at the edges to finish it off. And then I'll take my green blender brush and just kind of blend everything out across the entire panel, making sure that I don't have any harsh transition lines between one color and the next. Now I do go ahead and spray the panel down with some water and blot that dry just to create a little bit of texture on my background. So I am ready to start building my shaker. I have a piece of acetate that I've cut down to fit over the top of my Slimline die cut. And then here I'm just using a little bit of liquid adhesive to adhere that down in place. I'm using some double-sided foam adhesive to build my shaker channels. And then I'm just going to add some additional foam tape to the edges of my panel so that it kind of sits evenly when I adhere it to the ink blended background. And this foam is evidently pretty sticky because I'm just getting it kind of all over myself and not really where I need it. But I figure it out and I'm on to the next step. Now, I don't know why I insist on doing this backwards each and every time I make a shaker card, but I do, and I always put my shaker bits down and then I try to put my top panel over the top. I know there's an easier way, but I just don't seem to do it. So you see those nice 3 piles. Yeah, that takes about 10 minutes or a lot of effort on my part to do and make sure it's in a place where it won't interfere with the foam tape when you try to layer that top panel down. I do this every single time I make a shaker card, and I just can't seem to remember that there's an easier way. But the shaker is done and it works, and we're just going to move on. I'm adding my images with foam adhesive, and I'm just going to place that witch kind of strategically across that seam and cover that up. And then once that's in place, I'll go ahead and create my sentiment. Now for my sentiment, I stamped out Happy Halloween, which is from this stamp set. I did stamp it onto a piece of black cardstock and white heat embossed it. Then I trimmed it down using my paper trimmer. I'll go ahead and kind of find the placement for my sentiment and my little kitty cat and pop everything up on foam adhesive before adding it to my card. So that will complete my little shaker card. I hope you like it as much as I do. If you did like this video and found it helpful, please hit the like button and leave a comment down below letting me know if you're one of these people that puts a shaker card backwards like I do. Also, if you are not already subscribed, please consider subscribing to the Whimsy Stamps channel for more inspiration, and do hit that notification bell to be notified the next time we upload a video. As always, we are very thankful that you join us each and every week and watch our videos to build this community up on the Whimsy Stamps channel. That will do it for me for today. I hope you have a fantastic week.